insurance thing. Got 3 vehicles insured. I didn't realize that the truck and the Oldsmobile were the same year. 10 years.
One single queen can lay 400 eggs. But while regular
Oh no, not my glasses. Not my glasses. No, no, not my glasses. No. Yeah, that's Daddy. What you doing? I think he's taking our picture. Can you tell me if it is or not? Well, you wouldn't choke me, would you? You wouldn't choke me. I got 3 chains one birthday. And I wore them all for a while. Daddy. Where's Mother? Where's Mother? Right there.
She's going for that lunch. She said, "Oh, rats! I didn't break it." You gonna pee all over me? You come over here and go under here?
Hi. Yeah, you made it over there all by yourself. Nobody had to help you. Yeah. What are you looking at? Huh? What are you trying to show off? Oh, isn't that a pretty picture? Get that mouth out of shape. Let's see yours.
Get over a little bit, Marshall.
Huh? Scoot over here. This baby needs diapers on. She's gonna pee all over all of us.
When did you get this pretty couch?
We've had it for a couple of years, I guess, before we knew we were gonna have another baby. That's for sure.
It wasn't like this last time I was here. What? Yes. Why don't you turn your head around? Is he taking a picture? My knees hurt. Oh, my hip.
Yes, he's taking a picture.
Will it show when you're...
Put the diaper on, huh?
Yep, we better. I'll go get one. Kenneth, would you watch her, please, so she doesn't fall off the counter? No, I don't mean to.
Emily.
No.
No.
Between your grandmother and your baby, you're going to lose that lamb. Hi. Hi.
Emily.
Where are you going?
Emily. Emily, turn around here and look at me.
Oh, she's having a ball.
Emily.
She's gonna touch that lamp. Do you remember the movies we got of me? I'm playing with the ball, I'm throwing the ball, and the ball goes out in the street, and I go running out in the street after it, and the camera goes off. think I got a whipping for going out in the street. Emily's gonna get a whipping if she knocks that lamp over. A whipping. Say little girls don't get whippings anymore, Mama. Little girls just get scolded.
Guess what?
Scolded.
Oh, you said stoned, and I didn't. That was me now.
Start what stuff?
Trying to tell me about my life.
No, you're supposed to tell us about your life.
Well, but
We're not gonna tell you about yours. You gotta tell us about it. Well, tell us some stuff that's interesting about your life. Tell the story about great granddaddy.
What story? About him, tell about the time he was taken to court?
Yes.
Well, one time he was,
You have to lick the camera here.
Talk to Kenneth.
one time the judge came out, my father came from Germany by his own choice. And so we lived in a little neighborhood where Germans were not looked upon well during World War I. And so one of the neighbors turned him in to the court for being a German sympathizer.
What town was it?
Ballinger, Texas.
Ballinger.
And the judge came out and said, Mr. Pogles, I'm sorry that I have to tell you this, but you were turned in being a German sympathizer, but don't worry, I'll take care of it. And Papa said, no, you don't. I take care of that myself. And he did. And he told him he was an American by choice, and some of them didn't have any choice where they were. So that's the story about my father coming to America and being a good citizen.
What was his name?
Adolf Gustav Pogles.
How do you spell the last name?
P-A-G-E-L-S.
Pogles.
Some people call it Pagels. So it all just matter whether you like a long A or a short A. And in other words, he was a good American citizen and was respected in that county after that.
When did he come over?
Oh, he was born in 1852, and he was about 18 or 19, something like that. I can't remember the date that he came over. And he came to an uncle that lived here in Leander, and he drove a freight line for this uncle. First he had oxen, and then he had mules, and he made all this area around here, Rugersville and on to Austin, Round Rock and Austin, and made a loop, I don't recall all the places. And then an uncle decided that he could do better out in West Texas, and he wanted to come out and run a gin. And Papa worked there for a while, but running a gin wasn't what he wanted to do. He wanted to farm, and so that's when he started farming
In Ballinger.
in Ballinger. And he lived there in Ballinger till he died.
What did he farm?
Beg pardon?
What did he farm?
Cotton and maize and a small amount of small grain, but mostly it was cotton and corn and milo maize, and it was the main thing. Sugar cane sometimes, you know.
Sugar cane?
Hmm. But it wasn't as successful for him as the other things were.
Was that outside of Ballinger?
Yes. The old home place, part of it is still there. But it's not the same. The top has been taken off so they didn't have to change the roof or something. It doesn't belong to the family anymore.
So what was your family like? How many brothers and sisters?
There were 7 girls and 1 boy, and he was the youngest. And I was the youngest girl.
You were the youngest girl?
There was quite a bit of competition there between the two of us.
Yeah, the boy.
Bill. And through several depressions and droughts and things like that, but always survived.
You go to school in Ballinger?
Oh, yes. Graduated out of Ballinger High School.
And what year did you graduate?
Oh, let's see, I must have been 1918 or in 1918, I think. I've forgotten now. See, I missed one whole year. I had typhoid fever and then was out most of the year, so I think I must have been about 19. Yeah.
You were born in 1900. Not 1800.
Well, no, might go along with that. You might get somebody to believe that. And I'm the only one of the family that's left.
So there, in 1918 in Ballinger, you lived outside. How far outside of Ballinger was it?
Oh, better than a mile. Not too far to walk to school, but of course you walk to school. Then, even further than that.
Were there, when you were a senior in high school, when you were 18, 19 years old, were there many automobiles around, anything at all?
Well, when I was in high school, it was, but when I first started school,
Yeah.
I think I must have been about 7 years old before I'd ever ridden in an automobile.
How big was Ballinger then?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. It's small.
Small, yeah.
It's not very large now.
How big was the high school? Like, how many was in your class, do you remember?
Well, maybe 15 or maybe 20.
They play football or anything like that, any sport? Basketball?
I played basketball,
Basketball.
tennis, and I guess that was my main sports. Of course, we had running and all those things just like you do now. Competition. And
Tell me about your mother.
well, my mother came from Germany when she was about 18. Her father and mother had died for a few years before, and her sister had pernicious anemia, and she was given the first blood transfusion by Dr. Haas, Haas, who was started blood transfusions at that time, and that was first transfusion. Of course, it was fatal. But she knew her disease was fatal, so she was willing to experiment.
Uh-huh.
And then she came over to America, and she lived with an uncle in New Jersey, and then things were not satisfactory there, so she came to Texas with another uncle, and things were fine. And she was at Austin, see, so that's where she and Papa met.
What was her maiden name?
Bertram, Louise Bertram.
That doesn't sound like a German name.
Yeah, there are a lot of Bertrams.
Really?
Yeah. And a lot of Bertram, Texas, you know, and this one there. That was not directly related to her, I don't think. But a lot of them.
I think my grandfather came over about the same time your father.
Sure enough. What was his
No,
name?
not your father. That can't be right.
Your grandfather?
Uh-huh.
That would be my great-grandfather. See, and your parents are a lot older than my parents were. I mean,
He
your
was-
parents are closer to my grandmother's age.
Right. His name was Niedecken.
How do you spell that?
Niedecken.
And where did he live in Texas?
In Scurry County, Snyder. I really don't remember him at all. I think he died the year before I was born. I think he died at 52, not more 53. So I don't remember him. I remember my grandmother. And my father's side, they're English. Came over from England in
book one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago.
That's,
Well, I've gotten that family history, Martha has, you know,
Mhm.
uh,
But it's put
but
out by
it's
the-
not, doesn't go out very far. I mean, I have facts in there and all, but, it doesn't go.
Tell
I
us
don't-
about growing up with your sisters.
Well, I was very fortunate to be the youngest one because I got many accommodations and so forth and so on.
does that mean you were spoiled?
Spoiled brat. And my competition was my brother, who was an only boy, so he got plenty of attention too. So neither of us lacked for attention, but competition, yes. We had. You want their names?
Yes.
Yeah.
Emmy Dora was the oldest one, and she lived to be 89 years old. Then Elsie, Emmy married Charlie Michaelis. Then Elsie was the next one, and well, I'd have to have it in writing. I can't give you the exact dates, but there was approximately 2 years difference in them. And she married Elmer Batts, and then Gertrude never married. And she was the, you might say, the principalarian of the family. She really kept us all organized. And then Doris, my sister, she married and was going to have a baby during the early part of World War I, and that was when we had a flu epidemic, and they didn't have anything. Pregnant women never survived the influenza. And then the next one were twins, Hulda and Frida.
What was the name?
Hulda and Frida. And Hulda lived to be about 70-something, and she had cancer. And she was a brunette, and Frida was a blonde, and she married John Stovall. That's where I'm going to see my sister Frida's daughter out in Lubbock. And they had 2 children. Hulda had 1. And then this is next. And you know, I was born in 1900. I rubbed that in the whole time. And I married Sterling. And we had 5 children.
When did you marry Charlotte?
1920. And
Turn this fan off back here. Where did you meet? Yeah, man.
oh, there in Ballinger, at a party in Ballinger.
At a party?
Country party, you know. And then he went into the army, so we didn't get married until, I guess I was about 16, I guess, when, well, anyway, I was still in high school, and he went into the army, and then when he came out, well, we were married shortly thereafter. And
So he went to World War II.
One.
World War I, excuse me.
yeah.
And y'all got married after he got back.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long was it before you had Louise?
A little better than a year. And then Dorothy, and then Francis, and then your father, Sterling, and then Catherine. So I led a very busy life, and I'm here now.
Lots of people in your families, huh?
Yeah, we had a big
Yeah,
family.
lots of siblings and lots of children.
Well, Emmy didn't have any children, and Elsie had 3. Gertrude, of course, didn't have any, and Doris died, you know. Her baby was not born, so anyway, there was, then Hulda had 1, Frida had 2, I had 5, and Bill had none. So I was headed
Yeah.
that's about about it. And I'm here now.
You're still here now. Bill was your younger brother?
Only brother. William Bertram Poggles. Named after my mother's. See, Bertram was the surname of my mother.
Who were you named after?
Oh, well, my mother's name was, no, I was named for a very close friend of mother's, the Martha, and then the Louise is from my mother. My
Mother's
mother
first
and
name,
her.
so
See, in our family, we have several generations of Louise. My mother's name was Pauline Louise. Mine is Martha Louise. And my daughter is Alice Louise. And her oldest daughter is Patricia Louise. And she has a little girl named Jennifer Louise. So we're carrying the Louises down. And there were, Emmy and Doris were registered nurses. It might be interesting. Back in, before they were married, they both graduated from the sanitarium in Ballinger. I forget what the name of it was. And Gertrude, as I say, ran the household.
So did she run the household? She was a middle daughter, right?
Yeah, sort of. Emmy and Elsie were two older ones than she was.
So were they, how much older were Emmy and Elsie than you?
Oh, goodness, don't do that to me. I can't figure that out. They were big enough that I could go to town and make little errands and would get well paid for it.
Tell you what, tell us what Aunt Emmy bought you. The first.
Oh, she bought me the first pair of red shoes in Ballinger.
Oh my goodness.
Tell you, I walked up and down the sidewalk looking at the show windows to see my feet.
What did your mother think about the red shoes?
How'd she like them? She didn't put up with very much out of my conniving to get things, but I soon learned how to do it without her knowing about it. There are not very many people left in Ballinger now that are of my time. I don't know of anyone that, for sure, that is still living there. Some of them are still living, but I mean they're not living there that I know of.
And Mr. Layton was raised there in Ballinger too?
Well, he was born in Oklahoma, and then they moved to South Texas somewhere, and that's where he got in with the Express Company. And he was with the Express Company until he went into the Army.
Oh, okay.
And he was with the Ordnance Corps, so he was over in Europe longer than.
So he wasn't living in Ballinger when you met him?
Well, they had, when he found out he was going into the Army, he moved to Ballinger, and his people had moved there before for their health. Ballinger was, people moved around for their health then, and so they moved there. And
I thought maybe he moved Ballinger just to see you.
well, we can put it that way.
What was it about Ballinger that made it healthy? Were there springs there, or?
Oh no,
Just the dry air?
climate, the dryness, and good publicity. But it, I always liked it, small town.
Took the cats home.
I bet that cat's hungry.
Don't keep talking.
And we always had a lot of cats at home.
You did?
Because in the barn, we had rats and mice and things like that, and so we always had a good population of cats to keep them down.
Did they eat the chickens?
Did the cats?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no. They got plenty of food. They didn't have to survive. No. And they might have gotten some sometime, but not, it wasn't anything to be afraid of.
What were some of your favorite subjects in school?
Well, that's, just going to school was enough. No, I always liked math and history, and I still do like history. Math has gotten away from me, and I love history.
Uh-huh.
I like to read fictional history, and so those were my better subjects. In other words, I always made good grades in German because Mother and Father spoke German in home when we kids weren't listening.
Really?
Oh, he'd listen. Pop put his foot down. You speak English. Of course, he sure made a mess of it sometimes speaking it, but he saw to it that we did. So it was, you know, we knew that we were proud Americans.
Well, tell us about when you married Granddaddy. Where y'all lived when you married, and
It's Ballinger. And his people lived there too, so they got to put their approval on the marriage, and my family did too, so there was no competition or anything. And then he was, when we married, why, he was back with the Railway Express, you know, and I don't believe Wells Fargo Express is what they called it then. And he had an agency at, he got a job, you know, before we married, and then he, at Ioway Park, you know where that is, close to Wichita Falls. And so then when he came down, we were married in June, and then in about 2 months, why, they moved us to Henrietta, Texas, which was a little bit better business there, and made more money there, so we got that, and that's where Louise and Dorothy and Francis were all born.
So you were there a while.
2, 4, 6, 8. And then Sonny was born in Breckenridge, and Catherine was born in Dallas. So they're all Texans anyway.
So did y'all move from Henrietta then to Breckenridge?
And then Breckenridge is when the Depression started. It started, we got into it earlier because at that time the trucks were hauling the Express, getting most of the business of Express, see. And so our business went down, so.
Y'all worked for the railroad?
No, we worked for the Express company. Wells Fargo Express, you know what
Okay.
Express is.
No.
Package is too big to send by mail. You can send chickens and things like that. They're hauled in just like in a freight car, but it's all boxed up.
Okay.
And it's not like it's not like a freight train. It's by the passenger, see.
But, so that's what I'm saying, you were, the trucks were competition to the
Yeah,
railroad.
mhm. And then another thing, business started falling off. And you couldn't get jobs too easy then. So that's when their depression started. So then we were buying us a little retirement home out at close to Mineral Wells. And we moved out there, and he went into Dallas to, we started doing pretty good. Planted, you know, when he got some horses, we had a little cash, you know. And then it really hit a drought there, and the depression. Then people were walking past, you know, going from one town to the other trying to find a job. And one day Want me to tell you about the time I shot at a tramp?
Yeah.
Did I ever told you
didn't
about?
know. You never told me.
Well, Sterling was gone, had gone into Dallas, and of course, a gun was handy all the time. And we had a great big barn down there, and the kids were all down there in the barn playing, and I was out making soap. And this fella came up, and we wanted something to eat, wanted money, and I told him we didn't have any money. And I could tell he was getting just a little bit irritated, and I couldn't tell whether he'd been drinking or what, you know. And I said, oh, just a minute, I know where my husband hid some money. I'll go get it. You just wait out here and stir the soap for me. So I went in the house and came out on the porch with the gun, and I shot the dirt over there.
I take it he left.
He left, and he left in a hurry. But I was all right until it was over with, and then I was just like that.
So he bought the stir the soap and I'll go inside.
Yeah. And then Sterling just died laughing. He said, oh, it scared me to death, but that's the funniest thing I ever heard of. But they were not like the tramps are nowadays, demanding and stealing and all of that. They would cut wood. That's one of the things we always let them do when we'd feed them. And they'd cut wood or clean the chicken house out or anything like that. And they were all just simply nothing that they could get to do.
Looking for work.
And the freight train went past not very far from us. And I always remembered how when they'd get to our pasture, they'd always throw off a little bit of coal off of that train because they knew somebody was living there and they knew that they would appreciate it.
Yeah. And that was Mineral Wells?
Close to Mineral Wells. I can't think. I can't think of the name right now. Isn't that funny? Millsap.
Millsap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Millsap is. I've heard the name.
It's between Weatherford and Mineral Wells. So that's the Depression days. And then we came back to Dallas and went to work for Texas Power and Light. We had a good friend that Texas Power and Light Electric they constructed lines in all this area and around. And then we moved to Breckenridge, and he operated the what do you call it, where the power comes into and is distributed.
Switching station?
Well, I can think of the number. Well, the power distributed from there.
Yeah, I know what
You know what I'm talking about.
but I don't know what it is either.
Well, anyway, then that's when it really hit good then. But that's when President Roosevelt got in. We were starting, giving work, people work for their upkeep and things like that, and that was good, and it started picking up a little bit, and so then we,
Did you vote for President Roosevelt?
you doggone right I did. What do you think I am? When that put money in my pocket, he didn't have to offer me any money. I voted for him without the offer. But it was, so that's about all the kids grew up then, and we moved to Dallas, and the kids grew up there. That's where Catherine was born. Lived in the same house for about how many years? I told you this morning.
You told me this morning?
Yeah. But it was quite a few years, between 30 and 40, I imagine, years there.
Did y'all move to that house from Millsap?
quite a few little, flashes of ups and downs and things. I couldn't give you all those. I'd get confused. The thing that I hated worse about the Depression, I learned a lot. I learned how to survive. I learned how to take $1 and see how much food I could get. I learned how much food to cook to nourish that many people. And it took a head and a pencil and paper too to figure those things out. And of course you could get 2 pounds of steak for a quarter. But where'd you get the quarter? But then of course things started picking up, and Sterling went back with the Texas Parent, and that's who he was with till he died.
You were going to tell us what the thing you hated the most about the Depression.
Was that because he had to work so hard, and the kids didn't get an education. I mean, I wanted to send all my kids to school, to college, but they all graduated out of high school, so I guess that was something. And Louise always fussed at me for feeling badly about that. She said, well, Mother, we're all big enough to get our own education, and she finally got her degree 2 years ago, wasn't it? At 63. But we've had some mighty good years too. It wasn't not money, we weren't ever overloaded with money, but we had good years.
So Mr. Layton, he worked for the power company, and then was he laid off and then went back after the Depression? That's good, he got to go back.
It's well, that was this is something I'd like to tell you about. Is when President Roosevelt got in, John W. Carpenter, who at that time was president of Texas Parent Life. So he goes up and wants to, didn't want Roosevelt to finish this Tennessee Valley Dam, you know, and all that stuff. He wanted to get money from him. He wanted Roosevelt, to quit the WPA project. And so the president told him no, and he was going to send furnish the money for him to build the lines. And so John W. Carpenter had to come down and build them with their company's own money, and that was good. That helped this part of the country. But we laughed about that so much.
So the John Carpenter of Carpenter Ranch out in Irving?
I think so. I wouldn't say for sure.
I'm sure it's related, yeah. At least related if it's not him.
That's what?
I'm sure they're related if it's not him.
I just don't recall. You know that quite a few miles between that period of time and now. And if I made mistakes with any of the dates, well, you can you can consult me and I'll look them up. But that's enough now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I might go telling wild yarns in a minute.
Like what?
That's what we want to do is the wild
Oh,
yarns.
no.
Yeah, we're trying
Listen,
to
I'm
get
not
you
going to give away my past.
Real quick, and she knows when that red light's on, but it's time for her to turn around and look.
Thank you.
I don't see how she could know that.
Well, I tell you, I'm not surprised at anything that she does.
Me neither.
We're not prejudiced, are we?
No.
We're not prejudiced. We just know that this is an exceedingly intelligent child.
That's right. That's right. And the prettiest baby in the whole wide world.
Oh, yes, yes. Of course, I'll say this to y'all, I won't say it to the rest of the kids, you know.
Yeah. He's running.
Uh-oh.
Run, 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 run. How many great grandkids do you have? Do you know?
See, you asked me that. It's
It's a hard question. Huh?
21, I think. Have you?
21?
All right, Louise has. Oh, let's not start that. I always lose
It's
one or
big.
two. But
Is there any great, great?
no, but
grandkids?
there's a. I ain't putting this on paper at all now.
No,
You just
why?
cut that machine off.
No, wait a minute. Those
No, well, no, they're old enough. Let's put it. You know, Pam's children.
Uh-huh. Little Matt, uh-huh.
How old are they now?
You said something the other day that he was 21, I think.
I don't know, but anyway, he's graduated from.
From high school.
Oh no, he's been to college.
Oh,
I'm just trying to think whether it was junior college or what is that, Stephenville? Is that a college?
Stephenville? Yeah, that's college. Yeah, I believe so.
Hadn't been made into
I think that's college.
university. I don't know.
I don't
We won't
know.
argue about it. Let's
but anyway, he's out of college. He's old enough. He's
I
out
think
of
that
college.
he's out.
So
I'd always say I think. Because I guess with 21, something like that, great grandkids, you can't keep up with them.
I tell you that ours is fixing to be driving.
What?
Said our oldest is fixing to be driving this summer, so we can
Yeah. Oh, that's.
keep him away from the girls.
Oh.
yeah, here not too long ago, he said, "Gosh, I'm almost in 3 years. I'll be the same age that y'all were when y'all had me." Well, he said, "You be still."
Well, I'll tell you, these great grandkids are really keep me guessing. I can't keep up with their thinking. Thinking all educate me.
We're definitely educating us. For sure.
And you know Cordelia and Louise and Oscar, don't you? The Batses, Elsie's children.
Mhm.
I showed you those pictures, didn't
Mhm.
I? Oh, I forgot we were on tape.
It's okay. Just talk.
And I wish I was able to go out there. But that's too long a drive for me in the car, you know, and they'll have to transfer plane, bus.
Where do they
is where-
live?
Ballinger is where Cordelia lives, and Oscar and lives in Abilene, and Louise is the only one that had any children, and she lives, and her son, she and her husband lived in El Dorado, and her son and his family lived there. They're Elsie's children, number 2. Did you know Elsie? She died before you were.
I don't know.
You remember any?
Oh yes.
You straightened her out a few times, didn't you?
She straightened me out a few times. She was fun. I remember going out there. Their houses. They both. Aunt Emmy and Aunt Gertrude each had their own chicken house. I remember
Oh,
that.
yes.
There was lots of chickens, and I can remember going out and going into a room that was maybe 6 feet by 9 feet, and it being full of baby chicks. You couldn't even get in the room. It was full of little yellow baby chicks.
Well, you remember Gertrude raised Plymouth Rocks, and Emmy raised Leghorns. And actually the Leghorns were hard to confine in their pens, you know, and they'd get out. And then I think Sonny and Sonny and Catherine pulled one time. They were down there, and you know, Catherine is always, she just she would go out there to see the horses, not her aunt and uncle. She said, but to see their horses, and one day they were down there at the barn. And we were all in the house, and we saw this yearling go tearing past. It gotten out into the fields, you know, and that was sin for animal to get into the feed. And so Sonny was saying Catherine did it, let it out, and she was saying he did, you know. And so Amy said, but no matter who did, get busy and find out which way it went so she could call somebody and have them to come. Oh, that went on for quite a while, and called my brother, and he said, well, let it alone, it'll come back. And she just kept hunting, Deborah kept hunting, and the next morning it back there at the pen wanting in. Oh, well, they really spoiled my kids.
You didn't spoil your kids?
I didn't have time. That was a lovely place out there, or I thought it was.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
So Elsie's kids are the only family still out in Valley?
Huh?
Around Valley?
Beg pardon?
Did you say it was Elsie's children that were still around Valley?
Yeah. Well, Elsie C. was number 2 of the family, and her oldest daughter is 8 years younger than I am. So she's a little bit, she's in worse health than I am. So,
So
they're
you
not-
were an aunt at the age of 8, huh?
uh-huh. And I really bragged to all the kids in school.
I bet you did.
I did.
Did you spoil your nephew, niece?
Niece. Well, I spoiled all 3 of them. And then another thing, I got to babysit with them. That was cash on hand. Cordelia's always laughing about how she said if she lived long enough that she was going to let me boss me for one time. But that Hatcher was such a pretty little town back in the olden days, and then it just diminished. Down to that little store, you remember where the post office was?
Uh-huh.
We'd go down there and get the mail. And I think that's gone now.
Oh. They got rid of the post office, huh?
Huh?
They got rid of the post office?
I think so. Yeah, that's on the rural route now. From Winters.
Uh-huh.
Was it a farm or did they live in Hatchell?
No, it was quite a farm.
It was a ranch.
Well, it was a farm and a
Uh-huh.
ranch. I mean,
As far as
the ranch
function,
part was
yeah.
divided by highway or something, built through there. But that, in that part, well, there was a creek and always plenty of grass. I think he was one of the first ones irrigating his pastures. Just, you know.
That was Aunt Emmy's husband.
Hmm.
That was Aunt Emmy's husband.
Mm-hmm.
And Gertrude was the one that never married.
And so when Charlie died, Mama and Gertrude moved out there with Emmy.
What did Charlie die from?
Heart attack.
How old was he?
I can't recall. You can look in your record, it's on in there, but I don't have any, I don't recall now.
And so your mother and Aunt Gertrude lived out there with Aunt Emmy?
After he died,
Uh-huh.
after Gertrude and Mama lived there at the old home place until then. But with the rest of us married. And Brother Bill moved to Odessa. And he had a garage up there. He died with cancer of the lungs, and smoking.
You live in Odessa?
Lived in Odessa.
Well, my needed and kinfolks are in Midland.
Midland. Bill had a garage there.
Abilene, Midland there. And,
I always liked Abilene.
yeah,
It was big enough, you know, and had all kinds of education facilities there. And it was always nice.
Was that was probably the bigger city? That would go.
San Angelo was smaller at the time. I don't know how they rate now. Do you? San
well, San
Angelo?
Angelo's much bigger than Abilene now.
It is. I haven't been to San Angelo in years and years, and it's really grown that much.
I believe so. I think Abilene just not done well with the oil and stuff. But Abilene did get the, what was the big defense thing? They moved, some big bomber, B-1 bombers or something out there to Dulles Air Force Base, so that's, the Air Force Base is staying open and all that, so. They're gonna build a prison in Snyder.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, and it's funny, when I went out there, I didn't go out there, I was talking to my folks about it, because they still get the Snyder thing. You know, everybody wanting the prison to come to town.
Yeah.
You know.
Anything for money.
Because usually nobody wants the prison in town. The times are so hard out there. That'll be great. They'll take all these oil field workers now to be prison guards.
They'll be in the prison. So they got plenty of guards and plenty of prisoners,
Yeah.
so.
Just every 3 or 4 years, they all kind of exchange places.
Trade places.
Well, this prison situation does kind of makes me sick.
Put our prisoners to work.
Papa used to say that all the time, and don't you know in small towns how they used to, whenever you did something wrong, or a prisoner, somebody did something wrong for punishment, they took them out on the highway in a wagon, and the sheriff rode on his horse with a gun, and they cleaned the highway.
The road gang.
And I saw that too. I mean, you know, that's been in my time.
Yeah, we did start doing that again.
Well, the thing of it is, not enough jobs to keep
They'd be taking work away from other people.
from the, I don't know. I'll figure that one out before I put any money in it.
So let's see here, let's do this. It is June 17th, 1988, and you're up here visiting from Phoenix. We went from Phoenix to Austin to visit who? Who's in Austin?
Well, Catherine, and she lives in, Bastrop is where she's living now.
Oh.
I couldn't think. She did live at Elgin. She's living at Bastrop. I spent 2 weeks there. Then I went into,
Georgetown.
Georgetown, and I spent 3 weeks there
Who was there?
with Catherine's oldest daughter, Camille Ann.
Amelia Ann. I wonder what Cam meant. I was going to ask you that the other day.
And then I went, from there, I went into Dorothy Ann's and stayed a week.
Who's Dorothy Ann?
She's my number 2 daughter. And then I came up
And that was in Austin?
to Dallas. From Austin, I came to Dallas. And I visited my granddaughter and her husband and my great-granddaughter, her mother and her father. And I'm sitting here now. Tomorrow I will go to Lubbock to visit my niece. And when she dismisses me, I'll go on back to Phoenix.
Well, that's a long time. You've been out on the road, haven't
Yeah,
you?
they ought to be glad to see me, wouldn't they?
When you get back?
I don't know, it may not be. But
They might have already moved somebody into your room.
Huh?
They might have already moved somebody into your room.
Oh gosh, that's the trouble. There's many of the kids around there. Kids have kids, you know, in there. I'm just scared my room's going to be in such a shape that I won't be able to get in it.
How long have you been out there in Phoenix?
Oh, about, how long have I been there? I think I moved in '76, I think's when, or maybe after that. Can't remember now. I'd have to look at something, but it's been several years. It doesn't seem that long. I was trying to think when we sold the house. That's when I definitely became a citizen out there, paid my taxes.
We were in Kansas then, huh?
And
We were living in Kansas then.
You like Phoenix? You like Phoenix?
I like it. Of course, Dallas has been my favorite place to live. We lived here so long, but it's so different out there. But now, since Dallas has grown so, and nothing is the same. Well, it never is, no matter whether it's a depression or anything else. It's never the same when you leave a place to come back to it. But I like Phoenix very much. The summers are hot, but it doesn't bother me. I don't have to get out. And the winters are so nice. It's a retiree's home place. That's so many retired people out there. And it sure is nice that way. Then I like the change of the scenery, you know, the desert and all the beautiful cactus and all the mountains. Remember us riding around all over?
Yeah, I did.
Once it
Well,
took me up the side of a mountain and I got kind of queasy, didn't I?
Did you take her up there and try and throw her off or something?
No, we was just driving up on it. We went pretty high a couple times. Yeah, every day we venture out to a different
Direction.
direction.
First thing, I think the first place that took her was at that French restaurant. 'Cause all the grandkids and everybody comes see me out there that want to eat there. It's just different. I like it, but you'd get tired of it too. And then
You took me to see that country club that Frank Lloyd Wright built, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Frank Lloyd Wright, right? Yeah, that was real neat.
Oh, I sure think that, I love that out there. We went through Biltmore, all those, it was losing its publicity more because they're building out around Phoenix and the mansions. Who is the guy that has 20/20 on TV.
Two down.
New Downs. His home is out there in some of he was there for something we had. There was senior citizens organization of some kind made a speech, and so Louise went up and got his autograph for me. And he says, "Well, I have a request for an autograph from the only lady in the house with a hat on." But I like Phoenix if it just quit growing. And oh, they're just tearing up so much of it. You know, the old part, building the freeways, you know, through the town. Tearing up and, well, get lost. They're opening them up pretty, they're spend a lot of money trying to get them mapped out, you know, and somebody would come along and make the price on it, and then they take it back and get more estimates.
Well, Phoenix never had big freeways too much.
No, they didn't. Never have.
So
Well,
they
ever
kinda-
since Lou and John been out there, we're studying on the Papago Freeway, and now they haven't quite finished it yet. But he's still running that thing.
So how does 2 million people get around without a freeway?
Well, you ought to see it. Louise has her little way to get to town. She goes get to her office. See, Phoenix College is south and west from where we live, and she just has mapped her out a little trail where she can cross the busiest streets, you know, with a light. She may go 10 miles out of the way, but still she can go straight, you know.
Mhm.
Every block you have to stop and wait.
Mm-hmm.
Just cut it off.
Okay.
Good night.